Hi guys, I've written a couple points down here and I've got a little iPad here. I want to read something to you, but um, something Emily said in one of our last calls, I don't know if it was UR6 or in the Danielle Epiphany session, and I got to go back and try and find it, but I remember scratching down a note and it was a profound thing. I don't know how many people caught it, but I think it's worthy of me mentioning it and bringing it up that um, right now we're supposed to be healing all of our traumas. And I'll remind you that our past, our present, and our future are on our DNA. It's a storage mechanism, but it's also the connection to our immortal soul and our soul imprint. So let's say you have a bad habit. Well, let's go back. I'm going to use some of my background in functional neurology and helping clients rewire motor patterns after surgeries and joint replacements and stuff. So I'll use an example of riding a bike and setting algorithms, because this is really about algorithms. And I'll say this now, and then I'll use the example and I'll say it again, that if you don't make your personal changes and heal your personal traumas, you are accepting that algorithm. That algorithm then manifests itself into your reality and your perception of your reality, which is actually your reality. And so if you're not doing the self-work, you're basically consenting to Satan's algorithm, which are the generational injuries and traumas in your ego and whatnot. So if you're not working on changing these things, you're accepting them, you're consenting. And this is important to realize, that if you're not striving to make yourself better on every level, from what you eat and what you consume, and trying to improve your personal belief system and your personal habitual system, and working on your generational, not only your personal injuries or your personal traumas, but your generational traumas, you're accepting those algorithms, and those algorithms then become imprinted. And we know that your belief system triggers gene expression, which triggers neuroproteins and neurotransmitters, which then manifest as your neurology. So if you have depression, anxiety, whatever your things are, or a disease process that is manifested because those things have been perpetuating long enough, you're basically accepting that as your present presentation of who you are. And so remember, on the DNA is your past, your present, your future. So if you make those changes, you change your present. So if, let's say, you break a habit of smoking or drinking or alcohol or whatever, or your generational things of anger or whatever, okay? Pick your poison. If you make those changes in the present, you actually you can't not change the DNA, and thus you cannot not change the gene expression, and thus the psychological and physical pathologies that result of that. So what I'm saying is if you make a change in your present and you deal with your generational or your personal traumas, which are generational, okay, then you actually end up changing your past. And when you change your past, you change the belief system, the DNA, the consciousness, the soul imprint in the past. This is a difficult concept, I understand that. And if you change your past, then you change your present, which also means you change your future. So if you don't work on changing the algorithm in the present, you can't expect the future algorithm to change. It's going to be templated off of your present algorithm. That just makes sense. What you do today is probably what you're going to do tomorrow and down the road. You know, you carry things forward. Well, just take a step back into your past. If you change the past, then you change the present, which means you also change the future. The only way to get out of this loop is to make the changes now and change those satanic, accepted generational traumas that you have set in your system, whether by personal choice because of laziness or just acceptance, or because they've been generationally passed down. If you accept those, your future is guaranteed. You can actually probably open the book and look in the future and you'll see it because it's on your DNA. So what I'm saying is if you change your present, you can actually change the other two. You can change your past and your future. So the only way to get out of these generational traumas is to stop accepting the satanic and egoic and narcissistic and generational traumas that have been set upon us to keep us ill. You know, 10 seed groups, that whole thing, right? That was their plan. So the only way to get out of this is to change your algorithm. And so I use an example of riding a bike. Riding a bike at the beginning is very difficult. We're talking about setting neurologic patterns and changing habits. So riding a bike is difficult. And if you keep falling off the bike, you're setting in that algorithm. If you give up trying to ride a bike before you are successful at riding a bike and staying up, that algorithm is set. It's kind of like these generational traumas. So the only way to set up a better pattern is to stay and keep trying on the bike until you get up on the bike. Now, the beauty of this is once you set that pattern, it becomes your reality. You cannot ride a bike for 20 years, pick up a bike 20 years down the road, and you can still ride a bike because the algorithm is there. Okay, it can't be overridden. You can intentionally fall off the bike, but that's just stupid. And there are accidents that happen. That's an outlier. Okay. So you can't unwrite that pattern. Once it's there, it's yours. Whether or not you choose to express it is yours, okay? You can get on the bike and fall off intentionally all the time, which is what falling off the wagon, if you will. That's what those things are. You've accepted that you've stepped back into a generational trauma out of a choice, okay? And look, I'm not dismissing the difficulties of getting out of some of these things, okay? I'm not trying to put judgment on those, but I'm trying to give you the reality that you have to do the work in the present to change the past in order to change the future, which also changes the present. It's this loop, okay? Remember, it's all stored on your DNA. It's part of your consciousness imprint, your soul imprint. And so when you make these changes, it's profound, okay? And it's profound to you, but also when you change your past, present, and past generational traumas, you change your family's generational traumas. And that's what we're doing here. That's the bigger picture. Yeah, it's about us, but what about the generational things? Because when you change the generational things, it sends out forks into the whole lineage of your spiritual genealogy. And so if you can make those changes now to yourself, you can heal your generational traumas, which changes the whole genealogy, and on the spiritual level as well. And so it's absolutely critical that we do this work. Satan doesn't want us to do this work, but this is the only way out of this. And so I'll remind you of what Kirill said in one of his, in his D class. As it turns out, DNA not only stores the digital imprint of our consciousness, but it also is the point of connection with our immortal soul. Each section of our DNA resonates with certain aspects of our spiritual essence, our emotions, our beliefs, and our energy. So go back and read those, his D class quotes there. Undoubtedly, these discoveries fundamentally change our understanding of human nature. We are no longer just biological beings, but complex spiritual energy systems firmly connected to the higher order of the universe. So I've written this stuff out because I wanted to come to terms with this very kind of difficult concept, and I will include it in a post and link it to this video so that for those who like to read, we'll have it, and for those who like a video version can look at that, and maybe even both. But I'm just trying to help you guys understand that by not working on your past traumas, by not breaking your habits, by not taking care of your meat suit and your vessel, your temple, whatever you want to say, if you're not making these changes of eating better and exercising and stopping all these things that pull our frequency down, we are accepting those things, which then gets imprinted on our DNA, imprinted on our soul, imprinted on our consciousness, which then continues to perpetuate the generational traumas. And so the only way out of this is to do the work. And it's not easy because that's why no one in our generation has done it, or generations have done it. And so we are the cycle breakers. And so if we can do this work, and what if we all did it all at the same time? And what if we all did it at the same time while our frequency was increasing? Because that's the end result, is that frequency increase. As we start to do this work and all do it at once, which is what we're doing, imagine the level of frequency elevation on this realm, this planet, and in humanity. So this is the work to do, okay? Sorry for the long video, but this is a difficult concept and I wanted to use some examples. So love you guys. Keep doing the work, okay?